The NFL draft is a lot more than just the first round, even though a lot of thought is given to that first round in retrospect. I'm guilty of that too, as I focus exclusively on the first round in my recent video on the 1998 NFL draft. Well, I'm here to fix that today, as in this video we are going to look beyond the first round and recognize the players from the 2nd through 7th rounds of the NFL draft that had successful careers in the NFL. To keep this from getting too long, we are only going to look at the careers of players that made at least one Pro Bowl. So, let's go ahead and look back at the careers of players you might have forgotten about. Players that are taken on day 2 of the NFL draft are guys you expect to contribute heavily to the team that drafted them or have a good, long career in the NFL. And these players certainly did that. Across these 14 careers, there are combined 35 Pro Bowls, 5 first-team All-Pros, 8 second-team All-Pros, 3 Super Bowl champions, 1 All-Decade team member, and 1 Super Bowl MVP. Absolutely incredible value for these teams that took these players. So let's go on ahead and look closer at these 14 careers. The 33rd overall pick in the 1998 NFL Draft, the Arizona Cardinals selected Corey Chavis out of Vanderbilt, and he had a really solid 10-year NFL career with the Cardinals, Vikings, and Rams. His best season came in 2003 when he made his first and only Pro Bowl with Minnesota. He finished that season with 86 tackles, 14 pass deflections, and 8 interceptions. Overall for his career, Corey finished with 733 total tackles, 25 tackles for loss, 5.5 sacks, 57 pass deflections, and 20 interceptions, and had an AV value of 51. The 38th pick in the 1998 draft, Adams was selected by the Cowboys, where he started out as a guard before moving to left tackle after his rookie season. He struggled a bit early on in his career before figuring it out and making 5 Pro Bowls with the Cowboys between 2003 and 2008, being named a second-team All-Pro in 2007. After 11 years with the Cowboys, he spent his final season in 2010 with the Steelers, helping them make a Super Bowl. Overall, he appeared in 198 career games, starting in 194 of them, and has an AV score of 106. Selected with the 39th pick by the Buffalo Bills, Cowart had a short but productive career. The best season of his 8-year career was in 2000 when he was named to his only Pro Bowl, was a second-team All-Pro, and finished with 130 total tackles, 7 tackles for loss, 5.5 sacks, 2 interceptions, and 6 pass deflections in just 12 games before being cut down by injuries. He was compared to Ray Lewis before this injury, and we can only wonder how his career would have finished. In his 8-year career with the Bills, Jets, and Vikings, Cowart finished with 705 total tackles, 12.5 sacks, 37 tackles for loss, and 22 pass deflections with an AV of 49 before injuries ended his career. Selected 44th overall by the Dolphins, Pat Surtain Sr. was one of the best corners of the early 2000s, being selected to 3 straight Pro Bowls, 1 first-team All-Pro, and 1 second-team All-Pro. His best season came in 2002, the year he made the first-team All-Pro. That year, he finished with 59 total tackles, 1.5 sacks, 6 interceptions, 11 pass deflections, and 1 defensive touchdown. For his entire 11-year career with the Dolphins and Chiefs, Surtain finished with 547 total tackles, 7.5 sacks, 37 interceptions, 105 pass deflections, 2 defensive touchdowns, and an AV of 81. Selected 46th overall by the Oilers, Roll was a really solid corner for his 11-year career with the Oilers, later the Titans, and the Baltimore Ravens. His best season by far was in 2000, where he was named a first-team All-Pro and a Pro Bowler. His stats for that year were 39 total tackles, 1.5 sacks, 16 pass deflections, 7 interceptions, and 1 return touchdown. Overall for his career, Roll had 435 total tackles, 9.5 sacks, 112 pass deflections, 31 interceptions, and an AV of 75. Selected 48th overall by Washington, Alexander was a very solid tight end for Washington, San Diego, Detroit, and Denver in his 9-year career. His best season came in 2000 when he made his only Pro Bowl. That year, he had 47 receptions on 72 targets for 510 yards and 2 touchdowns. Overall for his career, Alexander had 247 receptions on 429 targets for 2,519 yards, 14 touchdowns, and an AV value of 23. Selected 58th overall by the 49ers, Newberry was a very good center for many years in the NFL, peaking in the early 2000s with back-to-back Pro Bowls in 2001 and 2002. He played 9 seasons in the NFL with the 49ers, Raiders, and Chargers, starting in 107 of 120 career games, and had an AV score of 60. Selected with the 64th pick by the Bears, Kreutz was one of the best offensive linemen in the 2000s, and he has the accolades to prove it. In his 14-year NFL career with the Bears and Saints, he made 6 straight Pro Bowls from 2001 to 2006, 1 first-team All-Pro in 2006, and 1 second-team All-Pro in 2005. He was also named to the 2000s All-Decade team as a center. He started in 187 career games and accumulated an AV of 95. Selected with the 65th pick by the Rams, it took a couple of years for Little to establish himself in the league, but when he did, he was a force to be reckoned with. He was one of the best edge rushers in the early 2000s, having a 3-year stretch from 2001 through 2003 where he did not have less than 12 sacks in a season. But somehow he only made 1 Pro Bowl in 2003, and in that year he also made a first-team All-Pro and finished 4th in Defensive Player of the Year voting. Overall, for his career, Little had 390 tackles, 89 for loss, 55 quarterback hits, which started tracking in 2006, 87.5 sacks, and 31 forced fumbles for an AV of 61 in his 12-year career with the Rams. He was also a member of the 1999 Super Bowl winning Rams. Taken with the 72nd pick by the Eagles, Trotter was one of the best middle linebackers in the NFL in the early 2000s. Across his 11-year career with the Eagles, Washington, and Buccaneers, he was named to 4 Pro Bowls, 1 first-team All-Pro, and 1 second-team All-Pro. His best season came in 2000, the year he made his only first-team All-Pro. That season, he had 120 total tackles, 12 tackles for loss, 1 interception, 1 defensive touchdown, and 4 pass deflections. For his career, Trotter had 914 total tackles, 69 tackles for loss, 9 forced fumbles, 51 pass deflections, 9 interceptions, 2 defensive touchdowns, and an AV of 84. Selected 76th overall by the Seahawks, it took a couple years and a trade to the Packers for Green to establish himself as a star in the league. In an era dominated by great running backs, Green was one of the best, making 4 straight Pro Bowls from 2001 to 2004. His best season came in 2003, when he had 1,883 rushing yards, 2,250 total scrimmage yards, 20 total touchdowns, and averaged 5.6 yards per touch. He could have continued this good pace, but a massive injury in 2005 really derailed his career, and he retired in the 2009 season. In his 12-year career with the Seahawks, Packers, and Texans, Green finished with 9,205 rushing yards, 60 rushing touchdowns, 378 receptions, 2,283 receiving yards, 14 receiving touchdowns, averaged 5 yards per touch, and has an AV of 96. He is also the Packers' all-time leader in rushing yards. Selected 85th overall by the Eagles, Rawson was a journeyman corner and kick returner. He played for the Eagles, Packers, Falcons, Steelers, 49ers, and Cowboys in his 12-year NFL career. His best season came in 2004 when he made the Pro Bowl as a kick returner for the NFC. Overall, the rest of his career was pretty mid. For his return game, he led the league in punt returners in 2003 and had 8 total return touchdowns in his career. Defensively, he had 188 total tackles, 2 interceptions, and 12 pass deflections. His total AV for his career is 26. Selected 90th overall by the Broncos, Greasy was given the difficult task of replacing John Elway as the Broncos starting quarterback. He was decent in that role, but injuries and too many interceptions led him to becoming a journeyman-type backup quarterback, playing for the Dolphins, Buccaneers, and Bears before retiring. His best season came in 2000, where he made his only Pro Bowl. In 10 starts that season, in a season cut short by injuries, Griese had 2,688 passing yards, 19 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, a completion percentage of 64.3%, and a passer rating of 102.9. For his entire career, Griese had 19,440 passing yards, 119 touchdowns, 99 interceptions, a completion percentage of 62.7%, a passer rating of 82.7%, and an AV of 62. Selected 91st overall by the Steelers, Hines Ward is the greatest receiver in that franchise's history. He spent his entire 14-year NFL career with the Steelers and is the franchise's leader in all major statistical categories. He is a 4-time Pro Bowler, 3-time second-team All-Pro, 2-time Super Bowl champion, and was named Super Bowl MVP for Super Bowl 40. His best season came in 2002, where he had 112 receptions on 160 targets for 1,329 yards, 12 touchdowns, and 11.9 yards per catch. Total for his career, Ward had 1,000 receptions on 1,558 targets, 12,083 total yards, 85 touchdowns, and an AV of 119. For players taken in Day 3, the supplemental draft, and undrafted free agents, he just wanted to get a player of value, a good backup, or potentially a solid starter if everything turns out good. Anything more than that is an absolute steal, and these next players definitely qualify for that. Across these 11 careers, they combined for 28 Pro Bowls, 5 first-team All-Pros, 8 second-team All-Pros, and 3 Super Bowl championships. Such incredible value out of the later rounds of the NFL Draft. Selected 119th overall by the 49ers, Schulters was a really good starting safety for his 10-year career with the Niners, Titans, Dolphins, and Falcons. His best season came in 1999, where he made his only Pro Bowl. For that season, he had 64 total tackles, 6 interceptions, 9 pass deflections, and a defensive touchdown. Overall for his career, Schulters had 539 total tackles, 17 tackles for loss, 19 interceptions, 50 pass deflections, and an AV of 41. Selected 142nd overall by the Eagles, Reese was primarily a special teamer and was rewarded for his excellence in that role with a Pro Bowl appearance in 2004. Overall for his career, Reese had 280 total tackles, 6.5 sacks, 2 interceptions, and an AV of 17 in 5 games started and 144 total games played in his 9-year NFL career with the Eagles and Falcons. Selected 173rd overall by the Vikings, Burke was one of the best centers in the NFL during the early and mid-2000s. He spent his 14-year NFL career with the Vikings and Ravens, making the Pro Bowl 6 times, was the recipient of the 2011 Walter Payton Man of the Year Award, and won Super Bowl 37 with the Baltimore Ravens. He appeared in 210 total games, starting in 187 of them, and had an AV of 110. Selected 180th overall by the 49ers, Beasley was one of the best fullbacks in the early 2000s. He made 2 second-team All-Pros and was named to the 2003 Pro Bowl. That year, he had 208 total yards and 1 touchdown. Overall for his career, Beasley had 316 total touches, 1,627 total yards, 13 total touchdowns, and an AV of 14. Selected 187th overall by the Packers, Hasselbeck didn't get a chance to play with Green Bay due to Brett Favre being an Iron Man, and was traded to the Seahawks before the 2001 season. There, he established himself as one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL, being named to 3 Pro Bowls and making a Super Bowl appearance as well. He then became a good veteran backup quarterback for the Titans and Colts. His best season came in 2005. In that season, he had 3,459 passing yards, 24 passing touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 65.5% completion percentage, a passer rating of 98.2, led the Seahawks to a 13-3 record and their first Super Bowl appearance. In his 17-year NFL career, Hasselbeck had 36,638 passing yards, 212 touchdowns, 153 interceptions, 60.5% completion percentage, 82.4 passer rating, an AV of 110, and had an 85-75 record as a starter. Selected in the second round of the supplemental draft by the Packers, Wally had a solid career in his 11 seasons with Green Bay, the Carolina Panthers, and Seattle. He made a 2005 Pro Bowl as a guard. Overall for his career, Wally appeared in 152 career games, starting in 138 of them, and has an AV of 68. Selected in the second round of the supplemental draft by the Chargers, Williams was one of the best nose tackles of the mid-2000s, making 3 Pro Bowls, 2 first-team All-Pros, and 1 second-team All-Pro. His best season came in 2006, where he had 69 total tackles, 4 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, and 2 pass deflections. Across his 13-year NFL career with the Chargers and Broncos, Williams had 443 total tackles, 55 tackles for loss, 13 sacks, 4 forced fumbles, 22 pass deflections, and an AV of 82. Coming out undrafted in 1998, Saturday didn't get a start in the NFL until 1999 with the Colts. There he turned into one of the best centers of the 2000s, making 6 Pro Bowls, 2 first-team All-Pros, and a second-team All-Pro. Across his 14-year NFL career with the Colts and Packers, Saturday appeared in 211 games, starting in 202 of them, and had an AV of 156. He was a member of the Colts Super Bowl 41 winning team. Joining the NFL in 1998 after spending 5 seasons between the CFL and Arena Football Leagues, Vanderjagt had a productive 9-year NFL career with the Colts and Cowboys. His best season came in 2003, where he made the Pro Bowl and was named a first-team All-Pro. That season, he was a perfect 37 for 37 on field goals and 46 for 46 on extra point attempts. For his career, Vanderjagt was 230 for 266 on field goal attempts, 377 for 379 extra point attempts, had a long of 54 yards, scored 1,067 points, and had an AV of 39. Coming out undrafted in 1998, Dawson spent his time with the Raiders and Patriots before being signed by the Browns in 1999. There he started his 20-year NFL career, where he made stops with the Browns, 49ers, and Cardinals. He was named to 2 second-team All-Pros and a Pro Bowl in 2012. His best season came in 2012, where he made 29 out of 31 field goals and a perfect 29 for 29 on extra point attempts. Overall for his career, Dawson was 441 out of 526 on field goal attempts, 518 out of 531 on extra point attempts, had a long of 57 yards, scored 1,841 points, and had an AV of 63. Coming out undrafted from John Carroll, it would be a miracle if Fletcher made an NFL roster, let alone become a starter. Not only did he do that, but became one of the best linebackers in the 2000s. Unfortunately, he was often overshadowed in his career, only being named to 4 Pro Bowls and 2 second-team All-Pros, all happening in the last 5 seasons of his career. His best season came in 2012 when he was 37 years old. That season he had 139 total tackles, 5 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, 5 interceptions, and 11 pass deflections with a forced fumble as well. In his 16-year NFL career with the Rams, Bills, and Washington, Fletcher had 2,039 total tackles, 109 tackles for loss, 39 sacks, 19 forced fumbles, 96 pass deflections, 23 interceptions, 3 defensive touchdowns, and has an AV of 138. London was also a member of the Rams' Super Bowl winning team in 1999. He's second all-time in both solo tackles and total tackles in NFL history, only behind Ray Lewis. And in my opinion, he should be in the NFL Hall of Fame.